Well, it's officially the beginning of the holiday season. And what a strange holiday season it is this year in 2020. I want to offer some resources in this video for the idea of really connecting and finding safety and connection no matter where you are right now. Even if you're ramping up, going back into that quarantine status like we did earlier in the year, or maybe you're finding yourself surrounded by family who have differing political views than you do. It's a time when we can feel really alone, a time when we can feel the conflict heightened between us as well. In earlier videos, I have talked about the nervous system and our regulation and how we really are prone biologically to orient to threat. In fact, you can even see my dog here as she looks around the woods, looking towards different sounds and things that could be perceived as threats. We're wired to find the threat. What's different though about us now is that we're not being hunted by tigers. So the things that we feel like as threats, we might be looking for them, but they're things that are never gonna go away. Our stressors are with us. And so it's really important that we learn to orient to safety. And what does that mean to orient to safety? It means looking for things that help us feel calm in our bodies, calm in our nervous system. I've offered the resources in the past of 5 different categories of things that help us to orient to safety. Orienting to the breath, so orienting to that inhale and exhale, and ideally finding some ease there. Sometimes, even by paying attention to the breath though, we get a little more anxious. So it's not always our best resource. But if we can cultivate a practice with it, it can certainly help us calm. Orienting to the body. Paying attention to here and now, what do I feel in my physical body? Can I feel my feet on the ground? Can I feel my clothes on my skin? Can I feel the sun on my face? Orienting to the here and now through the 5 senses. We'll do this in another video coming soon, but really tapping into our sense of sight and smell and sound and our touch as a way to come to the here and now and orient to the safety around us versus the what ifs, the what then, the getting ready for whatever might come in the future, all the unknowns, which are keeping us in an anxious state of arousal. Orienting to the natural world certainly is another option for grounding and safety. But in this video, I really want to talk about orienting to the safety of others. Now, of course, I don't mean just anybody. Not everyone is going to feel safe to us. But orienting to people and to relationships that help us feel safe. If you're able to, if you live in the same house with someone who feels comforting and safe to you, then I encourage you at this time of more stress, of staying indoors more often, to take some time to sit down with that person and look them in the eye and listen to their day and engage in more present-oriented awareness in your conversations. Turn off the screens, put the phones on silent, have a meal together. Now you might be thinking, okay, great, but the person I live with doesn't feel grounding to me. Totally understand that. When we are with others, we can also ground ourselves and invite them to ground with us through focusing on the body. So something I do literally in challenging conversations is I start to be attuned to my belly breathing. Rather than keeping my breath all up in my upper rib cage and chest, I try to intentionally bring the breath further down so that I'm using my belly to breathe in and out, diaphragmatic breathing. I soften my low belly, and I'll even do this while I'm listening to someone, perhaps as a way to keep grounded when maybe the environment is anything but. Also, you might be thinking, okay, all well and good, but I live alone. I don't live with other people, and it's COVID's going off the charts. How do I find this connection? I'm going to give you an example of something you can do on a Zoom call, and that is to take turns with someone you love, looking into the camera and providing them with eye contact. So if I were to be watching the screen, my eyes would be lowered and talking to the person on Zoom. And notice just how you feel watching this video, seeing my eyes lowered, versus when I stare into the camera and I speak to you directly. Notice what happens in your body. Notice what happens in your sense of calm and safety. And see if this is something you could take turns providing with a close friend or loved one. And taking some time, even via Zoom, to give safe eye contact is very soothing for our nervous system. We require connection. We require a sense of safety and belonging. Looking for ways to do that, even from a distance, is definitely helpful this time of year. Taking time to, whether it's write letters or emails, and also read and receive the messages we're given by our loved ones intentionally, not just scrolling through impersonal social media posts, but rather engaging in one-on-one contact where we are the intended recipient and we are the intended giver. Looking for opportunities to ground and connect with each other will definitely be a helpful resource this holiday season, the winter, and really throughout our lives. Something that was said to me once is, the strongest nervous system in the room wins. And so I think we all know that feeling when we walk into a room and maybe it's a boss, a coworker, a family member, a friend who's really activated, who's really stressed, and we can feel our own bodies tensing, our own heart rate increasing, and we're steadily climbing to meet them. So instead, I invite you to challenge yourself by practicing calming, grounding techniques that soothe your nervous system in order to be the strongest nervous system in the room that invites your family and your friends to exhale and come meet you there. It's a really hard practice, especially when we go home and we're in our old familiar environments and our patterns from childhood come up. But if we can, even at home and with our parents, with our children, if we can practice soothing ourselves, you might be surprised by what happens in the room, what happens in the collective nervous system of the house. So I invite you to practice, to play with this. I'll be offering more videos soon that are other activities to try this winter to really ground yourself, self-soothe, and I appreciate and welcome all feedback and observations of what you learn along the way. Thanks for tuning in.